I'm feeling some sort of way, dog. Looking all kinds of fresh, she licking all kinds of lips. Better not play with cash, I'm pulling up kinda threatening.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to What Do You Bring to the Table? I'm your host, Tubbs Mateli Tabis, and you know I'm never alone. Today, we have the TV mom of all moms. If this woman has never been your mother on television, do you even have a proper acting career? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Sibulele Gcilitshana.
I love this intro because actually I've mothered so many people and young people in the industry to a point that sometimes later on in life I'm like, you were just young the other day, you know? So I love that intro. And also just being a mom, that's love.
It's lovely. How are you though, ma?
I'm good. I'm grateful that this year is ending. It's been a challenging year. It's been a lovely year also at the same time. I feel like I challenged myself to just other levels. Yes. Just for a bit of background, I've been studying for the past 5 years, you know. But this year I went full-time because the past 4 years has been part-time. And this year I went full-time and it's been crazy.
You know, everyone that has been on the show, Adema, that is currently studying and doing the work at the same time have been complaining. They have been complaining. But one thing I can say is that I take pride in, and I'm proud that you are able to balance that work and still remain sane.
Yeah. Look, I think the things that you want, Ebomin, if your focus is able to narrow down to those things, and for me, those things that are important is getting my education, it is my family, and it is my work. Enye nenye be it ukuba nkosi yam bazi kangakanani ngami in the industry or ndibabona kangakanani otshomi bami or all the other things come secondary, but also like they're not the focus. Yes. And also just to narrow everything down kind of gives you, you become less anxious, right? Yes. So that you don't get to that point where you feel everything is not, you lose the balance. Yes. Yeah, bon? There's too many things as enzekayo, the unpredictable, like how COVID threw us, you know,
completely off
right?
it.
Can you imagine? I've always said when I went back to school, and for UNISA, for instance, I want to be, I've been adverts. So what I would do, I'd shoot on set, you know, yes. And I would run. I'd had to be released by 5 o'clock because my classes started at 5:30 until 9 o'clock. Now this worked for me because I could separate my worlds. Xa ndis a student, this is student. Xa ndingumzali, ndingulava, ndiyabona ndinguloo mntu.
Everything in a category, yeah.
Yes. Box everything, mahlale phaa neatly. Then COVID happened. Jonga, upha eklasini, kunuka imbiza echa. How do I focus?
I can imagine.
Umdana cries. Then you saw so many things. Like Umdana, my favorite is how you can tell Umdana kokuba Umdana tisa classini ke unganiphazamise sisifa. And then they're like, okay, ma'am. Within like 2 minutes.
They forget.
She comes down, but her best way. And I'm like, how? I can't read the sign language, but because I'm done. But coming back to what you're saying, the balance is only, we achieve it only for me. When you narrow down, yes, but these are the most important things, but also the support that I have from a family. I can never not mention Londole. Yes. I've been able to achieve this because of Ifemiliam. And that doesn't mean only just as a mom, but also financially, because if I'm full-time adverts, it means I've taken a cut on something, at work, right? Especially. At work. And
you trust him to do such things. You're on the station for something else.
And also, because I've taken that cut. So you need understand that why would you do that, and jonga imfundo, it's something as a pindo yokuthwe, you know. There's always the if uyayenza uyayigqiba yona, it's done, and you
Yes.
can use it for many
For
years.
life.
Yeah.
What I'm getting from you, Ma, is that lifelong learner.
Yeah.
That lifelong learner.
Yeah. And this is also just exciting for me. For me, it's more exciting to be in this. I cannot mention shows that are running on TV, to go and be interviewed, because I think younger people have just a different take and a different feel of life, and the way that they're looking at it, and the way that I experienced you firsthand. Usafika, you're fresh, you are eager, and I remember you already saying, no, ma, anzohamba nawo namhlanje, I've already spoken to Banbani because I just want to shadow the director. Or you speak.
Yes.
Those are the stuff you were doing. So I'm not surprised that in the Hleli kule ndawo ndikuyo.
That's,
Right?
Yeah. Thank you, Ma. Thank you. Thank
So
you.
it's so nice. This is fresh, and also it just does something for me. It reminds me ukuba ndikweyiphi era kwakhona, right? It's not useless, what I have already, the knowledge and everything that hopefully I'll impart today. But what is important is also just being present and knowing how do I share all of that stuff that I know, but also how do I relearn new things and kind of and work with what is being offered.
In order to stay relevant, that's the word. That's how we stay relevant. So, how many years in the experience, Ma?
22 years.
22. I was.
Signed with my agent in 2000.
2000. I was born there. I'm not gonna say, but I feel like people already know my age. But the question is, man, with so much experience now, how do you? What's your secret to your longevity in your career? Because you do get those people who they're up, and then so many years later they've been 5 years they haven't had a gig, but you every year.
Yeah.
It's Soul City.
Yeah. So, the first one is it has to be something that I think I'm bringing today, which is just preparation, right? For me, from the day I was cast in Soul City, it's a good example that you go back there. I knew I could never take that moment for granted. I knew how many people were in that audition. I understood without putting pressure on myself. I just understood that this is something serious,
The stakes are high.
right?
The stakes are very high.
And also, I know that we always do the promo shoots with the rest of the cast when we work these years and all of that. But there was so much of the focus on the lead. And when I got my first role, I didn't get a cameo, or I got a lead of Soul City. And Soul City at that time was not only then the series on TV, it was going on print as well, right? So all magazines, you would actually have a photo
Our
shoot.
textbooks also back then,
Thank you.
all the life orientation was sponsored by Soul City.
Thank you.
Yes.
Then you'll do outreach programs. They actually brought in some like PR companies to kind of give you just equip you for all these interviews that you're going to do, but also give you kind of a background on health, because we were targeting HIV at that time. And so I knew, and also like then you are the cover with Ram, then you go cover yendo. So
Yes.
and you're like 23, 20. It's
How did you
just-
handle that, Ma? Because back
Yes.
then, namhlanje, people can get social media famous.
Yeah.
So being
Yeah.
popular is not that it's not that big of a thing now. But back then, for when you're on Drum Magazine, you're on everything, it's 2000. How are you feeling? Because now, when you are in that position, how did you handle that?
So my focus was always about work. I was too worried about pulling it off as the performer. So my focus is always on that, and we're gonna come back to this because it's such a. It's when you ask this question, how have you stayed, all these years? It speaks to that because I understood something about the power of being a great performer. Right? We're all coming out with a degree, but are we great performers? Right? So when I understood that this is important, it was a matter of that every day, that I could draw that arc, that I know the story from the beginning to the end. And know that, and I mean, I was young then, I didn't have even these words that I'm using now to tell you that I could see the arc of the story. Even those are the things that, yes, you get at drama school and all of that, but it's so overwhelming to be on set the first time. And I don't think a lot of people even know this. So the head of performance at AFDA at the moment is David Dennis.
On Joburg, no?
Right?
Yes.
David Dennis was my lecturer, my acting lecturer at Pretoria Technikon. Yes. And do you remember who were the two main characters of Soul City from beginning to end? Yes. It was Sister Bettina.
All right. I'm sorry. I just had to.
Umamu Lillian too. And Saul, which is David Dennis. And my first role ever was against my lecturer.
And you see how everything just goes full circle?
You see.
Everything goes full circle.
Preparation. Now, if you don't then take it back to that, to what you've done, how do you prepare? How do you walk the steps when you're going on set? Because there's a whole change look, which I think also gave a lot of directors, because I feel a lot of directors in South Africa they audition me for their next roles because there's something that they take from my previous roles. Yeah. I think I'm very different from a lot of characters that I play. I think a lot of characters that I play, there's always like a stretch. If I'm not cutting my hair as Beth, it's me with some hectic weave.
Oganya with lupus.
With lupus or with grassroots. Were you not with me?
I was not on grassroots.
Oh,
that was Senzo.
See?
Senzo Khatebe no Oros Mampofu.
You see,
I was in love with that
Oros.
series. I was in love. Mama got Oros, guys. Even Mama got Oros.
So nalapo, so it's the transformation. And the transformation, Tablet, cannot just be this the visual thing, if then I'm also not doing the same inside as a performer, so that I am in that world, right? So for me, there is no role that I've went into playing without thinking about what it means. So for instance, even the brief for Society when it came, it had those 4 characters, but I wasn't interested in being Aquia, I wasn't interested in being Ino, I wanted to play Beth, the lesbian woman, right? And I went for it, and I later on heard from the producers, the people who were, because they ran the casting, the people who wrote it also ran the auditions. And they say they literally had to wait for me to just close the door and see that I've stepped outside.
Completely.
And they screamed so much. I wish I can go back to casting directors, to production companies, Tabile, and ask for my audition tapes. I prepare so well, Tabile, that I know that even if the idea was to get somebody who looks a certain way for a certain role, I can walk in and I can change a casting director's mind just because of my performance. I know this.
Character performer, that's what they call you. Character performer. And one thing I've noticed, Augukima. Auguki, you've looked like this since society. Since growing up watching you on television, you have looked the same. Yeah. Since when I was saying I dream of working with you, and then I come to work with you, you still look the same. Man, what is your secret? What is your secret to looking so young and being so consistent with your look on television?
One, I think as actors, we are lucky to be people who are active at all times.
Jimani, guys. Jiman.
By this, I mean as theater performers. And I know a lot of people now don't get to do theater, but guys, if you have an opportunity to go and do theater work, that's where this whole preparation came from. Xa ufika at theater, before you can embody somebody, you prepare your body for that. So warm-up exercises. So what you warm up first is your body. You know this. You warm up your body. Then you warm up your voice, right? And then you warm up, you quiet down, you do like either a word run because you're connecting, because you're going into that world. You're all just stepping into that world. Otherwise, and then we're at the theater and then we do it. That's why it's this. It's not only that. It's also I'm in this place, taking in this space. It is taking in, I'm here. It's also just walking in here and saying, there's a young energy here. And acknowledging that and saying it to you. It's a young energy. I like that. I'm not going to be talking about, how we did it then. It's on. But it's how does that translate to now? Which is what I'm saying. The preparation is going to be a tool for the rest of your life. So then that has helped me. But you also know that I'm a non-meat eater, non-dairy.
There we go. That's what we were looking for. There we go. But the extreme version of vegetarian.
Yeah, I'm vegan, and I was vegetarian for a long time. But I think thank you to COVID because that's where I made then the switch completely to vegan, and thank goodness that I did that because I used to really have like hectic sinuses and all of that, and really skin acne was my thing. And in fact, that's also something about it, right?
For health reasons as well.
Health reasons, and yeah, it makes you feel lighter. This energy thing that it's still there.
You always have energy. I have noticed you always have energy, lights on your feet.
Yeah, and I've told you that I've done 24 hours. I think I need to share with people that I shot Bedford Wives and Jovijo at the same time, and people don't know that.
They don't know.
I used to run from Jovijo and be sent to, he said here, Bedford Wives. And I think those characters, if you remember, and that again, to be able to separate ezozinto. And that happens in this industry. Things overlap because of maybe fans as fiki ngexesha, and then even if you signed a contract thinking that no, actually in 2 months' time, and then within that 2 months you've thought, I should be looking for work, and then there's something that's shooting in the next week, in that kind of 2 months, and that's what happened. So I went, and then I started then Bedford Wives, then
Jovijo at the same time. It was God testing your stamina, sir. And that vegan diet made sure.
Thank goodness.
Veganism was initially coined 1944. But the practice itself was done in ancient India and East Mediterranean societies. And now it's more prevalent in society and made a lot of noise by Ebilung. Because everywhere you go, I'm vegan. Like, okay, we get it. But you being vegan, how have your black peers reacted to you being vegan?
You know, we are as a Xhosa land is a joke. Eh? It's still a joke. Like a guy,
I can imagine.
still such a joke, and also traditions and cultures. Ayondo that just nje switches, like you say. Even though abantu abamhlophe are the ones abathetha kakhulu about having,
Yes.
now vegan. But look at it, bisukaphi.
Ancient India.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it shifts. So you understand when they don't get it. It's like, why would you eat meat? Like,
Yes.
ni-
Mnandi bacon. Mnandi ribs. Mnandi ospe. Mnandi guys. But I did once a vegan diet for 2 days just to test what could physically happen to my body. I was lighter. I could just running. Feels like I could fly. My energy, my mind was on. Everything was on point. But knowing me, I was like, hey, I just had to cut a slice of meat. But there's so many benefits to being a vegan, and there's this thing of this ignorant culture that black people have of things that they don't know. So like therapy and veganism. I have a bit of ignorance to veganism in making fun of it, but I respect people who choose to be vegan.
Yeah. And also, just to add on that, I think we are also abantu aba, and unfortunately, i-energy zethu.
Yes.
Uba siyakwazi uzimamela, zisidirector to the things esizidingayo. Zisidirector to the things ezizawusinceda. Ngela xesha ndandiyeka utya inyama, I didn't think that I'm doing it because, like really for my health, for my blah, blah, blah. And also it's going to help me with my industry and all those things. But I think it also speaks to the kind of values that I keep. I am worried about climate change and all of that stuff.
Yes.
It's I am worried about obesity.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
I am so.
It just made me think. Sorry, ma. It just made me think how it's not that I'm saying, guys, like you say, we are worried about obesity. I'm like, how do you let yourself get to that point where there is an option where you can change your life around? But instead of changing your life around, you make it as an excuse and have it as a poster banner as to why it's okay to look this way.
Yeah, and there's such a fine line, right, between uba nyani I'm built in a certain way and uba ngoku siya overindulge as people, right? And it's something that we should be so careful of and not fall for your fat shaming. You are right?
We're not fat shaming, we still aware actually.
Yeah, bon. And I know that abantu abaninzi, we're very quick to jump to that. But I kaloku wena awuzu, because in any case, unjanjan. But to be honest, ubomi butshintshile, we consume a lot of processed food, and that is really dangerous for ngoku i-health yethu sisingabantu. And so that's the bigger thing that I'm worried about, right? And so in me listening to umzimba wam and what I felt like, I realized that was just me being aligned to everything that I stand for, that I speak. So I think kubalulekile into yoba uzazi also that ungumuntu ophi na yabona apha ebomini and why you believe kwezo zinto. Yes, I'm not even big on social media and those zinto.
I went to your profile. I was like, is this a profile? But because you're not part of that age where it's very social media driven, you're still the old school. You don't need to be posting consistently on Instagram and all these other social media apps to get jobs, because you are seasoned, you are a veteran, they know you.
Yes. And I know that at any given time that I walk in, I come prepared.
Yes.
and I dish something every time, right?
Something
I don't,
proper.
and I don't need to say to them. Remember the other thing about being an actor, and I think abantu abaninzi think that, and I mean, even you being sitting here in a podcast, you don't. This is not something that's automatic. I'm sure you found that when you sit them here, it's still very uncomfortable. You understand? But there's always this idea that we automatically out there, we always ready to talk. But sometimes our way of being extroverted or our way of putting out a message out there, actually, it is by being actors.
Yes.
That's perhaps the only way. I mean, think of Vusikunene. Do you ever see Vusikunene sends a lot of interviews? Because he's actually almost like a kind of a shy, kind of a laid-back guy. Like he's such a, like he would be sitting here, with a,
Yes.
But the man can dish.
He can give you something. He can give you
Right.
a performance that you're like, was this man ever shy?
Shy, right?
At all?
So there's always this idea sometimes ukuthi see sikwazi uzenza zonke ezinto. So you need to know ukuba and mna ndiyathetha, I'm able to do this, but I know it's not important for me to actually be in those pages. I think I would exhaust people if I was on top of being the kind of a performer that I am, that wants to do the kind of work that I do, and if then also I could pour myself with the same intensity on pages, taking pictures, doing, I think I'll be exhausted of myself.
Azima, you're making me think so much about the reasons why I'm not that much doing TikTok. It's because I have the traditional mindset of what I do. I don't do it to become popular. I do it because Nataluma Mama, because of that. And you do get those people who, yes, they are mad talented, but they also have a thing for social media, because I have a sister who keeps pestering me, post more on Instagram, do this all the time. And I feel like it's so much hard work. It's necessary though for age group, So I do dabble here and there, but not too much. But in doing that, I understand I have a traditional mindset of the old actors. I don't have to be parading myself on social media.
So it's very important the point you answer, because it's very in the dimension of social media for a performer of this age. We cannot deny that. Ngoku into enibuzwayo indlela that brands frame umsebenzi wabo ngoku, the other way of going out there without putting billboards, without just putting a commercial, is also doing quick catalog work, which is now just in your fingertips, which is why it is like that.
Instagram.
You
see that?
I didn't know that.
Instagram.
So ibalulekile, and that's part of preparation for an actor ngoku, right? So usibulele ngoku xa ementorisha umntana osuka enqamakho, cannot only say you need to be just a great performer, you need a good agent, you need somebody who knows who you are, you must build relationships with your agent so that you guys know your strengths. You should make sure that you are constantly polishing your craft, because that's another thing in ilibalayo kule age group. If you are giving so much time, right, for all the pictures and everything.
Oh, in the makeup chair, I'm going live, but I'm shying makeup, I'm sitting next to Entlembali, I'm sitting next to Palance.
So, Andy, but can you see the prep for that? That's the prep that you need for that, to look like you polished in the tongue. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's you've worked so that your tongue rolls when you do all of those things. That's the same prep that you need, and the prep is polishing your voice work. It's constantly going for workshops for your acting, whether it's watching stuff, that you're constantly playing with the craft. That it becomes, because you are the machine.
Yes, we are the machine.
You are So for it to remember ukuba Nkosi yami wenza ntoni na, this is why for me, you know, a traditional training of drama is stage only. I didn't have camera.
Say Jimin pa. Say Jimin theater. We'll gym this. We'll gym this.
Everything.
To a point, man. I remember back at after because that was the last time I did theater work. There was this monologue that made no sense. It was just words thrown off the words, sentences thrown off the sentences, and I had to deliver that one man. It spanned for like 3 minutes. To a point, as Uifunda, you don't even understand what is going on. But for me, I got to a point. I learned it so much that even in my dreams, I would be saying the monologue, and then in and out of sleep, I'm still murmuring the monologue. To that point, even after 3 years later, you can still go back.
There's just no way. So let me give you what TV, what we do when we are doing like a commercial versus, let me say maybe versus a film. So if I'm asked to write in the
What's that ad? Is it Mac?
I've been using that.
Mac.
We would relate to that. So if the client needs you to just pick up that and see in a stain, right? And then you put it in manzini, and then it's stain, it's clear, it's gone, and it's a warm feeling, right? Those are beats, right? But these are beats that are, it's almost like camera flashes. It goes. You glass lending, right?
Yeah.
Glass.
Free of charge.
Glassly.
Free of charge.
Glassly. So, but the difference between that and the film scene is that kukhona into endiyenzayo. When a writer writes me, ndizobeka impahla zam, ndizawukhupha apha ndiyibona inestain esemdaka uzawufuna ndiyifake emanzini. The writer is using just the action to supplement ingcinga zam. Right? So the focus is not necessarily on staying.
Because the other one is a commercial, the other one is just a film. It's in what? It's not an important scene, but because the other one is a commercial,
right?
You
it's
have
advert.
to take more.
So these scenes, actions are ziyafana, but the presentation and the message is different.
Yes.
So, for instance, if it's film, so ndifikile but ndikuloo nto ndikuyo and ukhupha something, ndiyazicingela ndizenzela loo nto ndiyenzayo. And it's part of Banzavasa Imbasha, but you can see the acting is I'm deep in thought and it's there, and and when it comes out, and then it's sukile, but I'm still in thought because the story that I'm telling is
Yes, it's the action.
But when it's a commercial, it's really that.
Oh my gosh! It's a win-win. Yes.
So going back to, so I just had to explain Jelio moment Leo because it's important. We're talking art here. We're talking, this is what I do. This is part of me. But I'm emphasizing ezo zinto, not in nje ba, those are the things osifundayo. When you're a young performer, suka engqamakho kanye egcuwa or kutsolo, but kufuneka uyazi also kanene for me to have a page that represents an upcoming performer in Janina. You understand? And do I only take pictures of this journey of being a young actor It's another audition, dressed up like this, trying to put together a character. And today, and yes, we don't make it. Oh, what do you want? How do you want to build this page, right? That has so zonke ezo zinto zibalulekile ngoku. And I really feel for abantu who are young performers, but that preparation for everyone who wants to be an actor, a performer in this country is everything. There is no point ukungena in this industry if you are not prepared to go through the process of preparation. We cannot find ourselves ngoku ekubeni usothuswa yindlela that the industry treats you ngakhona. We need to know noba kutheni. Ndimfutshane?
Am I too muscular?
As nwele zam zinjanjani? Do I have a warm face?
Yeah.
Do I have like I know I have such a warm mom,
welcoming presence.
Mom,
Yes.
face that when I bring Nancy, and I know how hard I have to work to convince someone that I will do something. I'm gonna come through for a naughty whatever, or like like beer ads. I always make it like sex like on the short list. I never quite go into those ads because I'm sure there's still a part of me that doesn't know how to be that sexy.
Oh yes.
Right? So I probably still perform to a certain degree, but the way
It's that thing of knowing yourself as a performer. It's knowing yourself as a performer. And once you know yourself as a performer, you can pick and choose your gigs. Sometimes you want to challenge yourself. Sometimes like Aile. Because I remember, I kid you not, Gomorrah season 1.
Yeah.
Before it was actually called Ukomor, it was called Gijima.
Yeah.
I auditioned for the same role as Uteti. Watching U perform, I'm like, in my caliber, I would have never done it the way he does it.
Yeah.
So he deserves
Yeah.
that role.
Yeah. That's
Because I knew I was like, I.
That's it. It's like you wouldn't remember this. SABC ngonye unyaka did a series of Shakespeare's. Ne?
Ukukuno Andile.
Glad you remember that.
That is the most iconic.
Do you still remember Spedi? They did do Macbeth. And Ushoki did Lady Macbeth. And no Sputla is in not the old Sputla alone, Mazio, who was in Woman King, Sputla who is with Skim Sam at the moment. It's just that I'm just sending me Jonga, Lanyaka, Ushoki. There is no actress that came close to Ushoki Lanyaka. The woman outperformed herself. You know, when you look at something and you go like, ufike njani in this world? How did you tap into lomfazi? And it doesn't matter whether it's a look, because sometimes she would just do those looks and they're evil. And it was not like over the, but just like she would just bring this, the way she just walks and just looks down, the way just the eyes. It was unbelievable. So I can relate totally to Cloud City. Yakwazi ubukela sometimes omnye umuntu and go like, even the softer lanyaka, yeah. And I know she didn't.
Took the game.
And I know she didn't win it, but yeah. Yeah.
You know, Musman, this thing of, I appreciate theatre more because you actually have a lot of rehearsal time before show night. But what about TV? What's up with that rehearsal time? Because you say you're very particular with your preparation. So how do you do it for TV? Because we never have time. They'd be like, okay, auditions on this day. We are shooting on Friday. Table read is on Thursday. You still like, who is this character?
Yeah.
Like, how do you deal with that? Man?
Yeah. So first, it's always so short. We get the scripts. This is the character audition.
I remember how you got Grootboom and Sons. Yeah. Yo, that day, they see Tata Zella. I have never seen so many execs sweating. I was just chilling there and said, "Hey, but guys, sishuta nini?" Oh no, we're still looking for I'm like, eh? For real. I was just chilling, time of my life, and they brought you in because that's a prime example. You have to, on your feet, grasp the character. How do you do it, ma?
So, amagama ngoku for TV ayathetha nathi, right? Yes. So immediately xa uthatha iscript as lines ezuzifunda, the kind of a person, and I'm sure this happens to you. Lo mntu ufana nomntu omaziyo.
Always.
Yeah.
That is always the case.
Yeah. That's your first hook. Also creator umntu. The minute acingise umntu, the minute that
Clicks.
yeah. And then you try and understand the world lo mntu aphila kulo, right? And you add with then the backstory abakunika yona. And then the other things become those things that you just find ukuthi mhlawumbe ucingisa nje umnyubhuti nyana omfutshanana oqhela ukwenza izinto ngohlobo jonga indlela omde ngayo nayo uzokusebenzela ukuthi so what do you use ngobude bakho then? So with TV there's a lot of just moments of just breathing, really just short meditation, because in this country asinalo shemixesha
At all.
asinalo tu.
There's a character who I fully grasped only in the second season.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
now it's making sense.
And when I'm do ukhe wasebenza nami yayazi besethini on TV, and I know it is shame. I know I've had such amazing roles on TV kodwa I know TV beningazuyenza mina if ever I could do theater fully in film in this case. Yeah. I would do theater, I would do film. Yes, film, TV. I'll do film and theater. I'll do, and I won't do because of exactly that. TV is just. Now you do know, because when I sebenza nam, you know how I usually pace before I sing, and that's just almost how I bring myself to that world, and it's just about that. And even the idea of. And this is also shame. This is just a privilege to go to nemotwana yami and kwazi use drive a certain part. Also that for me, going on set uhamba usemotweni yakho iyandinceda. Because
brings you to your zen,
yes,
adlala umculo wakho,
Yes.
everything that gets you started for the day.
and tabile everything can be a lot because mna andiphili ndindedwa andifani nawe uphuma akho nje akho kati. You're just like no.
Easy.
Like sendibhizinisi isikhaftini ndayifaka into ndizawuthi ndikwi-highway
Ufuna ntoni? Ufuna ibaloni?
bendizifakele kane nezo swimming impahla elantsika I think bane-swimming namhlanje ndinxibisa i-uniform erongo I think it's sports day namhlanje ndinxibisa i-tunic yabo
Yes.
zinintsi ezam izinto so it's so important ukuthi ndibe ndedwa just to undo ezo zinto as I get closer to a certain and you use every little time like sometimes mna ndiyana nasetoilet ndingayidingi itoilet just to be able to have that moment and also ndingumntu wabantu uyayazi
Yes.
I like engaging
It's what you mentioned that osemotweni yakho you play your own music that gets you into that zone. One thing I can say I can appreciate Mkhumbula Paki, our driver for the station. He has this keen gift of knowing how to put everyone in a good mood before we go to set. And I'm grateful for Upaki. Like, you'll be like, I just had the worst morning. And then Upaki will play Biggie Smalls or Tupac. And then you know what? You know what? I'm just having a good
That's
day.
so special. But can you see also how asebenzisa sodwa as performers?
Yes.
There's so many parts of wena as outside just the instrument that need to function the align now at the same time to be able to yabo. So like a Pagi who is driving you on set is just as important as a director who just doesn't go move to the left. Oh, no.
Where? Which left?
No. get the AD to go to the actor. To go move on the left.
Yes.
Wenza kanje. It's the way uthatha ngakhona, it's the way, it's because Lamdo just went like, it's this world, but I'm stepping into his world. Right? Just ulapha lo.
Kalibuzama, is it a thing on, is it same on black sets as compared to white sets? I haven't been on a white set, so because what I hear from people's experiences is that there's a different level of behavior that people have. Let's say mnyama now when they're on a white set as compared to when they're on a black set. There's a level of complacency when they're on a black set.
So practice makes better,
Yes.
right? And abantu abamhlophe have had more practice kwezinye izinto.
Yes.
So compare, then sibhoxa somewhere,
Okay.
because asikuyabi nayo i-practice
That they have. So
They have.
that would be the main reason
I do
why.
think that's one. Then second to that, masiqhele mentorship. I like this.
Yes. Shout out, guys. Yes.
It is so important, guys. Asiveli sizazi zonke izinto. I mean, I can say this ngokuphambi kwetshomi zakho that okokuqala for ubani belapha ndihlale apha, it's because of you catching just snippets of me just around people on set and going like, that's interesting. Oh, okay.
I can't tell to ma.
Yeah.
I could definitely put on something.
You know what I mean? It's you being aware ukuthi ngobani abantu that have something enokuncedisa kulendo
Yes.
that you're pursuing, right? And that is important. You can't, there is no way that we can be on a set imini yakho yokuqala and imini yami yes 100 and that uza understand like ukmarka qala, hitting your mark,
Yes.
hitting your light. Yeah. Have you seen that at theater? It's even worse. Jonga?
You stand next to the light. Next to the light.
Downstage, upstage.
Go. There's nothing. Yo.
Which is why then that repetition of doing something over and over at theater it's never boring because you're finding out something new every single time. It's like a performance. Yes, the repetition, what it has done, and you've done the preparation, we're stepping into that world, but it's a new day and you relive it afresh. I've seen this now on like my third take on an audition. I did a casting the other day, and I read the first. It was 2 scripts. I did the first one, and then they just wanted. They were happy with it, but they wanted a second one, and then for the second script now, which is now I'm on the tape for the third time. Lomdana was any energy. I watched myself affected by Lomdana, by this performance. And it's not something, and that's the beauty of what we do, is that if you are prepared and you bring in something, in you being present, something, what you bring from your side completely creates such a magical world out of nje. And we had those moments when we were together, kula room, you know. I mean, there was something about that space, that was it like it's a little bit. It's so close. It's so closed. You know, I remember thinking, yazi nalamaphela ndiwabonayo. Yasinceda.
Yes. That's why I love location more than studio, because location, the actual things that are happening in real time. And let's say we are performing now. One of the crew members drops something on set, and because you understand your character, you react normally to that, and you're like, oh, is there something going? And then you're like, I'm the nam glamapela or imbuku or something like that.
There we
it
go.
just adds to what's the word I'm looking for?
Yeah.
Improvisation. There we
Yes.
go. That's why I
Injalo.
love location so much as compared to studio.
And that's what it is. It's just allowing that moment to go to Nkosi yami. Woo. And it's beautiful because bungayilindelanga. And it just takes over, and it's like ndifike njani apha, oh wow, this is great, oh ziva, so phuma kuyiba, whoo, and I just released that. So kubalulekile then that we are aware of that.
And the person who, for me, who does it the best, when we shot season 2 of Football and Sons, we know him as Ankile Uluzuko Nqeto. When we were shooting driving scenes, so now he has to act and drive at the same time, react to the people that are happening, and just the way he kept reacting to Abandona that are running across the street. I'm like, everything that he's saying, it is not on script. Nothing is on script. The part that comes in the script comes in later in thought. But what is happening is he's reacting to his environment, but still putting on a performance. Now that right there is a performer.
There you go.
That
And he
right
is
there is a
amazing.
performer.
And you know, as kwazi loser this tape ngoba liyahamba ixesha. So it's the layers as a performer, so understand their act ongosi amsawuphazamiseka, but also yeyi asinawukwazi uphinda sirepeate le nto kathathu nakanye because you know we need to be rolling. We can't because we've got 14 other scenes esishutayo namhlanje, right?
Hey, but this season we were on the ball.
This season.
This season. If you remember what happened last season, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. But this season, Uprachato was on the ball. He was on the ball. There's one day we finished 4 hours before. I was like, yeah?
Wow.
I was like, Prachato, wow. Props to you. He's my mentor now. I've chosen him because you can see when someone can do something to the way you want to do it. But the thing about me, I'm very ambitious, so I want to do it better than you.
You're so curious.
Yes.
So beautiful. You're just
Very curious. And that thing of mentorship that you keep speaking about, it's something that I've currently embarked on because, not gonna lie, understand this call. I don't like being 9 exeni. I must be here and do this. And I must still pay you for all of this education. When I just had an epiphany one day and I woke up, I can just ask this person who does this thing to just teach me everything. And then I will learn. Being a lifelong learner. As much as, yes, Andrew Tate, I'm not sure if you know Andrew Tate, he's getting a lot of hate. Biggest thing that I took from Andrew Tate is that you see something you want. You see someone who has something you want. Approach them, ask them how they got it. And then they tell you. The next part is you attach themselves, work with them, and find a way that you can get it for yourself. Because that's essentially how we become successful people.
And that speaks to a lot of what we do as in the entertainment industry. That kind of attitude makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
But there are a lot of gatekeepers.
But that's a different thing if we sit at and go, right? So being that kind of learner in this environment is
it's
right?
the best way to go.
Yes. Because the other thing about Edish is that the part of preparation for a performer, if you can go, is that they're not just good at being an actor. They need a second skill, abasaziyo, be it to direct or to write, or and it needs to be there. It needs to be solid. It doesn't need usazai funeka. Like how you natural, you're here. I can converse, I can host, and, right? That's something now. You and you know you could do it, and you knew. Put these cameras around, put these mics. That's your draw, right? We performers need to have. It's a must. Because, and I'm gonna go to that uncomfortable place because again, every time isenzeka, I always ask myself, kutheni i-performers zingathethi? Kutheni that everybody else uyathetha kodwa not actors? So mandikwenzela umzekelo. South Africa, we have serious problems with GBV, for instance.
Yes,
ne?
we do.
In South Africa, we have serious problems with just crime, right? We have all kinds. And you often find performers that are quite vocal here and there, dropping a line. But when performers, if kukhona an older performer that comes forward and says, anamsebenzi, or ndiyalamba, or ndagqibela nini uba nomsebenzi, or andisakwazi ubhatala indlu yam, or ndikwazi, azize sithethe actors.
They keep quiet.
Why? Have you seen abantu bethetha? When all this thing yenzekile katata uVusithanda. Ubani wena that comes to mind that you felt they strongly wrote something that said, you know, because ndingekho kwi social media platforms, I just get like news feed, on my Google, and I would see ukuthi, this actor has come forth, and the people who would be there attached ukuthi abantu bathachekile is just ordinary citizens that have.
But no other actors.
Why?
I have a theory. Might not be right, but I have a theory.
Yeah.
It's because there's a certain fear that they have if they attach themselves to that, they will also be in such a position.
Yeah. Yes.
Because as much as people think, the audience think, we're supposed to be driving all these lavish, fast cars, there is a very small group of performers who live that life. Yes. Others, we live a normal life. Yes. And if our bread and butter gets taken away because we are in support of this particular person, it can get taken away. Now we don't have money, now we don't get gigs, they blacklist us. That's why.
And why is it so uncomfortable to actually challenge this narrative that you see nobubomi lavish? Is it because self-esteem, we feel it will be knocked when we openly say, I just live an ordinary life. I'm just an ordinary person.
I am an ordinary man. Not for long though. But no,
So, how do we prepare for that? Because I can tell you, ubona nje utata uVusi, it means there's at least 500 of Tata uVusi.
yes.
He's just the only one.
Thing.
Oza ngaphambili.
Yes. Yes.
So, senzani, where...
I also have another theory. Yes. Why you talk about it. It could be self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
Because Tina says Matanis in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. It's not. With Denzel or Will Smith. Okay, Will Smith for Emancipation. He got paid $35 million up front. He hasn't even read or said a line of dialogue. Got to say Patola $35 million. If Apa is South Africa, before you even shot, you got paid 2 million rand to do your role. Do you think you're gonna need another job for the next 3 years? You can get a job a year and you're good. And then we can live that lifestyle. But now what has happened is that because we compare ourselves to Hollywood, and then there are a few individuals who obtain a similar status to what Hollywood is achieving, and the audience sees that, they think that is the norm, that is the generalization of it all, but that's not the case. That is not true.
So there's something that needs to be done, ngaleyo nto leyo. And
Something needs to be done.
There's a conversation, especially as younger actors,
Huge conversation
that
actually.
you need to talk about, because it's not about, oh, siyalampa. It's more about how do we, because I feel it's along the lines of coming together. It's along the lines that, like, gone, asenalo ixesha longa understand the spirit of solidarity as actors. We should just ngoku bekumeba sibambene siye ngamandla, right?
Yes.
Look at how much of umsebenzi wam asikathethe ngezinye actors that have been around before mna. Umsebenzi wam Thabile wonke endiwenze ne-broadcaster all over the show.
Yes.
Omnye uthengiswa to the other broadcaster, omnye is showing around the world. My agent was once contacted around actually mhlambe a year after the first season, gets contacted by a French magazine program that says would like to interview your artist because umsebenzi wakhe is showing in Suriname and some of the French countries and up Africa. Kwakunini ngoko. So they come and interview me because my work is somewhere else.
Yes, in the world.
In the diaspora and also just, you know. So, and then you realize, Uguti, royalties, like is a myth
In South Africa.
in South Africa.
It's a fairy tale.
If
If royalties existed since you were in society right now, you could be living lavish life.
Do you know that with the first season, the second season, the first season in your society, they didn't only show the series at TV. At some point, they distributed DVDs, sold them around Jet and blah, 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 blah stores around SA. So there's people who have copies.
I remember walking into like a shop right and seeing Soul City. It was those DVD covers that was all white.
Yep,
Well,
there'll be
it was all
Soul
white.
City one, there'll be Society.
Soul Parties as well.
So DVD, and then sold somewhere else in the world. And so can you imagine how much of Ubusobam
It's been all over the world.
and Sisahleli, and I should not be still talking about this, or we should not be having Utadovustanda eTatalanda ethethileyo.
Yes.
If ndithi kwamna those years back that I went to question it. Literally, I went in uyoyibuza esebe ithini lento lo mcimbi walento, you know, and I think at the time it said producers and the lead should share 2% of the profits and 2%.
Apparently sometimes it gets written in paper, but because sometimes we don't read our contracts, we let it slide. And then when it's time to claim, and then I don't know, they always have a beautiful story
At
to
Kanbenayo conversation because there's and if let's say we've failed you guys in terms of ukubambana and understanding the power of speaking in one voice, because we really need to get to that point. And I mean, I cannot also finish this without talking about the South African Guild of Actors, that actors in this country, you need to really consider being part of the guild, because as long as basiteta in pockets, akekho umntu oza. And if there's a body already that has the resources and all it needs is the numbers, then you already have a vehicle to address all these things esinazo. Otherwise, for generations to come, Thabile uzafika kule AGM and all the roles that you'll be like, hey, I will not do it ngaleyo fee. Kukhona umntu who will do it at half
that fee. Because why? They want a door in. Some of them want fame. It actually breaks my heart that you're saying this.
Yeah.
It really does break my heart.
Yeah.
And they want to tell you it's part of an actor's journey that there's this ups and downs, times where there's no gigs and they convince us it's part of the journey.
But like it's such a so then where it has gone, it's not only just exploitation that has happened in the sense that you underpaid, you overworked. It has gone onto our psyche, the way we then take on work. We just go like, at least in yasebenza wethu. I can't be saying that in my 40s, Tabil. I can be, but at least ukhona umsebenzi. No. There's something
I can say that
disturbing
because I'm still young.
Yeah, there's something disturbing, and in fact, it is designed in such a way that this precarious life has been so normalized. zi-actors le nto yoba yho hayi kaloku inzima le nyanga ntona.
It's funny, we all speak in the same voice when we complain, but we can't speak in the same voice to fight.
Yes.
Think about that. Song is in a green room, like, yeah, that's one time, that's one time.
Yeah.
Why can't be one time to them?
Yayibona laa nto iba
In
ichane
one.
apha, because ichane apha because you amthemba uthabile uba once aphume apha uzawuthi
Yes.
so uqome heyi hayi mna ukuba ndiofarishe le nto ndizawuthula ngenxa zoba sayithetha laa nto.
Protect isiqu sakhe.
Yeah. Because uqomba Nkosi yam. Yabo? So can you guys have this conversation? That's prepping for nina ngoku in kwi-50s. Thabile, I can tell you, as much as bandinayo le energy ndinayo yonke le nto ndinayo, andifuni ukuyosebenza one at the rate as I was working in my 20s. I don't. Because you know why? Because zikhona ezinye izinto endibhizi ngazo at this point ebomini bam, e.g. abantwana.
Yes. They are expensive. Pampers are expensive. Very, very expensive. I don't want those troubles right now.
Don't have those troubles, please. So you don't have all those hours you used to have. Masqale up. Secondly, you want really to just be able to afford a comfortable life to a certain, point or degree. Ebomini. And I'm not saying a lavish lifestyle, but andifuna ube ndimane ndiyothi hey xolo akangeni imali ku-principal wesikolo. You want to be able just to afford because you've worked hard enough for it. I shouldn't still be calling my agent in my 40s to say ingenile imali because I shouldn't be so pressed for uba laa nyanga iphele or la payment ifike njengoba bendisenza in my 20s.
Yes.
But I can tell you, it's a norm.
It's the norm.
40s, sister, peace. What's the next one?
Yeah.
And then,
It's like and I don't know if you have this, but like, that last week of a production, the existential dread you feel because you don't know when is the next gig coming. Even directors feel that. Even my mentors, like, I just feel like there's that energy now. People are sad because why? We don't know when the next payment is coming, and that's for everyone, not only actors. They only think actors. It's also directors. It's also the cinematographers. It's that.
So that's why it has to be now on a cultural level of the entertainment industry. Something needs to change. The culture of making everyone so dispensable, so, like easily, like this exploitation, so desperate, needs to stop. And it needs just a shift is ngqondweni where it's like, no, it needs to stop now.
Completely.
It's so weird because nothing can function if we were just to say one day just hleli phansi.
All of us, we are not coming to set sonke.
Cha, sihlala vele nje song. But to get to that, it's almost a world that's non-existent. See, it stresses us out because ngathi yo Nkosi yam, they will take somebody else. Even ngathi andizi Nkosi yam ukhona
Take someone else who's desperate.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is another. That's a prep for nina ngoku.
Yes. Yes. No. I'm gonna say this to the camera. One day I will sit all the head honchos in one round table, and I will ask these questions. If angikwazi uniphendula, hey, sawubona ngam. But no, something has really got to give. Something's got to change. It's not going to happen overnight. It will take time. It will take for us as actors and thespians to unite and fight the powers. We cannot do this alone. All straight from Umamzo, a veteran, the seasoned mother, the television mother of all mothers. If she's never been your mother on TV, do you have an acting career? Masqale, po. Thank you so much, Mamzo, for coming to What Do You Bring to the Table. Ladies and gentlemen, Tubbs Teletubbies, and we are out.
You cannot find replacement types of statements I be making. Khuzuka monthly, daily funds, escaping, silent vacate. Pulling up funds and statements on the table, time to shake it. Who need a plan to make it? Hands are